In a small village where life moved slowly and everyone knew each other's struggles, there lived a poor family of 5. The family consisted of Papa John, Mama Grace, their first daughter Rose, their son Daniel, and their youngest daughter Ada. Life was not easy for them. Every morning before sunrise, Mama Grace would wake up and prepare beans for Akara. She would sit beside a large black frying pot at the village junction, selling Akara to travelers and villagers. Rose, her 19-year-old daughter, always stood beside her, helping with customers and serving food. Rose had once been the pride of her school. She had completed secondary school with excellent results and dreamed of becoming a nurse one day. Unfortunately, dreams alone could not pay school fees. There was simply no money. Her father, Papa John, worked as a carpenter, but the little he earned was barely enough to feed the family. As the months turned into years, Rose watched her former classmates leave for universities while she remained behind, selling Akara under the hot sun. One evening, after dinner, the family sat outside their small house under the dim light of a lantern. The night was peaceful until Ada suddenly asked a question that touched everyone's heart. She wanted to know why Rose was no longer in school. The question brought silence. Mama Grace explained gently that there was no money to continue Rose's education. Daniel immediately spoke up, saying that time was not waiting for his sister. Every year she grew older, and every year her dream seemed to move further away. The conversation left everyone emotional, especially Papa John, who felt like he had failed his daughter. That night, while everyone slept, Rose lay awake staring at her old school books. Tears rolled down her face as she remembered her dream of becoming a nurse. She wondered if that dream would ever become reality. Days later, something unexpected happened. As Rose and her mother sold Akara at the junction, a luxurious black SUV stopped nearby. A beautifully dressed woman stepped out of the vehicle. At first, Mama Grace could hardly believe her eyes. It was Lucy, her childhood friend. The two women hugged excitedly after years of separation. Lucy had left the village many years earlier and now lived in Lagos. From her appearance alone, it was obvious that life had been very good to her. During their conversation, Lucy noticed Rose helping at the Akara stand. She asked questions about the young girl and soon learned about her unfinished education. After listening carefully, Lucy made an offer that seemed like an answer to years of prayers. She offered to take Rose to Lagos. According to her, Rose would continue her education while also working with her. The news filled the entire family with joy. That evening, their small house was filled with excitement. Papa John could not stop smiling. Daniel joked that Rose should not forget them when she became successful, while Ada begged her sister to bring beautiful clothes from Lagos. For the first time in a long while, hope returned to the family. The next morning, after many hugs, prayers, and tears, Rose left the village with Lucy. The journey to Lagos felt like stepping into another world. As they entered the city, Rose stared through the car window in amazement. Everywhere she looked, there were tall buildings, bright lights, crowded roads, and endless movement. She believed she was driving toward a brighter future. She had no idea that she was driving straight into a nightmare. The following morning, Lucy asked her to get dressed because they were going to work. Excited and hopeful, Rose assumed she was about to see the school she would attend or perhaps the company where she would work. Instead, Lucy took her to a luxurious restaurant and nightclub. The moment they arrived, Rose felt uncomfortable. Beautiful young women dressed in revealing clothes moved around wealthy men while loud music filled the air. Confused, she asked Lucy what kind of place it was. That was when the truth finally emerged. Lucy revealed that men paid money to spend time with the girls working there. Rose was horrified. She reminded Lucy of her promise to help her continue school. But Lucy showed no sympathy. She told Rose that survival came before dreams and insisted that she must do whatever was necessary to make money. Rose begged to return home, but Lucy refused. She reminded her that her family was poor and that the money she earned could change their lives. That night marked the beginning of Rose's suffering. Although every part of her heart rejected the lifestyle, she eventually found herself trapped in it. Weeks turned into months. Every time Rose received money, she sent most of it back home. Her family used the money to repair their leaking roof. Daniel returned to school. Ada received books and supplies. Food became more available in the house. Back in the village, everyone believed Rose had found a respectable job in Lagos. Whenever her mother called to ask about her work, Rose lied. She claimed she worked for a good company and was earning well. Each lie broke her heart, but she could not bring herself to tell the truth. One evening, during a heavy rainfall, a handsome Korean businessman named Min entered Lucy's restaurant. Unlike the other men who visited, Min seemed different. Quiet, respectful, observant. While eating his meal, he noticed Rose serving customers. Something about the sadness in her eyes caught his attention. After leaving, he contacted Lucy and specifically requested Rose. Lucy immediately assumed he wanted the same thing every other customer wanted. The next day, despite feeling exhausted and emotionally drained, Rose was sent to meet him at a hotel. She entered the room expecting another painful experience. Instead, she found something she had not experienced in a very long time. Kindness. Min welcomed her politely and offered her tea. He did not touch her. He did not make demands. He simply asked her to sit down and tell him about herself. At first, Rose was suspicious. Then, slowly, she began telling her story. She spoke about her village, her parents, her dreams, her education, and the betrayal that brought her to Lagos. For the first time since arriving in the city, someone listened to her without judgment. When she finished speaking, tears filled her eyes. Min looked at her gently and told her something she never expected to hear. He said he was not interested in using her. He admired her heart. And for the first time in many years, Rose felt seen. Not as a product, not as a source of money, but as a human being. For several moments, Rose simply stared at Min. She had met countless men since arriving in Lagos, but none of them had spoken to her the way he did. Most saw her as someone they could use and forget. Most never cared about her thoughts, her dreams, or the pain hidden behind her smile. Yet this stranger from another country sat across from her and listened as though every word mattered. Before she left that evening, Min handed her some money. Rose hesitated. She had not done anything to earn it. But Min smiled and insisted. He told her to keep it. When Rose returned to the restaurant, Lucy's eyes immediately lit up when she saw the amount. She laughed happily and called Min her favorite kind of customer. But Rose remained quiet. Something about Min was different, and she could not stop thinking about him. The following week, life continued as usual. Rose kept sending money home. Her family continued celebrating her success, unaware of the painful truth behind every naira she sent. Whenever Mama Grace called, her voice was always filled with pride. She would talk about the repaired roof, the new school materials for Ada, and Daniel's progress in school. Each conversation brought both joy and pain to Rose's heart. She was happy that her family was finally living better. But she hated the sacrifices she was making to provide that happiness. Months passed. Then one day, Min returned to Lagos. The moment he arrived, he went straight to Lucy's restaurant. He looked around, hoping to see Rose, but she was not there. When he asked Lucy about her, she told him that Rose had gone out but would return later. Min left his hotel address and asked Lucy to send Rose to him whenever she returned. Lucy agreed immediately. That evening, Rose came back exhausted from another assignment. Her entire body felt tired. All she wanted was to rest. Unfortunately, Lucy had other plans. The moment she saw Rose, she informed her that another customer was waiting. Rose begged for a break. She explained that she was exhausted and needed sleep. Lucy refused. According to her, good customers could not be kept waiting. Reluctantly, Rose prepared herself and left for the hotel. As she stood outside the room, she took a deep breath before knocking on the door. The door opened. For a moment, she froze. Standing before her was Min, the same gentle man she had been unable to forget. A smile immediately appeared on his face. Rose could hardly believe it. Months had passed, yet he had returned exactly as he promised. For the first time in a very long while, genuine happiness filled her heart. The two spent hours talking. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams. Rose told him about her family again. She spoke about her younger brother and sister. She talked about her parents and the sacrifices they had made throughout her life. Min listened carefully. Then, as the evening drew to a close, he looked directly into her eyes. His next words changed everything. He told her that he wanted to marry her. First, Rose thought she had heard him incorrectly. Marriage was the last thing she expected. She reminded him about her past. She told him about the mistakes she had made and the painful life she was living. But Min was not interested in her past. He cared about the person she was inside. He told her that everyone deserved a second chance. Most importantly, he told her that he loved her. The tears that followed were different from the tears Rose was used to. For once, they were not tears of pain. They were tears of hope. A few weeks later, Min requested to meet her family properly. Together, they traveled back to the village. News of their arrival spread quickly. The entire village gathered to see the handsome foreign man who had come for Rose. When Mama Grace saw her daughter again, she burst into tears. Papa John could barely hide his excitement. Daniel and Ada ran toward Rose and hugged her tightly. For a long time, nobody wanted to let her go. Later that evening, Min sat respectfully with Rose's parents. Through an interpreter and careful communication, he explained his intentions. He wanted to marry Rose properly. He wanted their blessing. He wanted to build a future with her. Papa John listened carefully before tears filled his eyes. Years earlier, he had worried that poverty would destroy his daughter's future. Now he was watching that same daughter receive an opportunity he never imagined possible. The traditional marriage rites were completed successfully. The village celebrated for days. Music filled the air. People danced. Food was shared everywhere. For the first time in many years, Rose saw her parents smiling without worry. Soon afterward, Rose traveled to Korea with Min. Everything felt unreal. The country was beautiful. The weather was different. The culture was new. The language sounded unfamiliar. But through it all, Min remained patient and supportive. Unlike the life she left behind, this new chapter was filled with peace. Min encouraged her to continue her education. He helped her enroll in courses. He supported her dreams. Little by little, Rose began rebuilding the future she once believed was lost forever. Years passed. The frightened village girl slowly transformed into a confident and successful woman. She became educated. She became respected. Most importantly, she became happy. Her family also benefited from her success. Daniel eventually completed his education. Ada continued pursuing her own dreams. Papa John no longer worried about daily survival. Mama Grace finally stopped spending long hours frying Akara under the hot sun. The family that once struggled to eat now enjoyed comfort and stability. Yet despite all the blessings in her life, one memory remained unfinished. Lucy, the woman whose lies had changed the course of her life. One day, during a visit to Nigeria, Rose decided it was time to see her again. She drove through Lagos in a beautiful luxury car. When she finally arrived at the restaurant, many workers failed to recognize her. The shy village girl they once knew had completely transformed. She stepped out of the vehicle with confidence. The restaurant became unusually quiet. Moments later, Lucy appeared. The moment she saw Rose, she froze. For several seconds, neither woman spoke. Lucy could hardly believe her eyes. Rose looked successful, elegant, and happy. Everything Lucy never expected. Finally, Lucy broke the silence. She apologized. She admitted that she had been wrong. She admitted that greed had controlled her decisions. Rose listened quietly. The pain of the past still existed, but time had softened the wounds. She told Lucy that she would never forget what happened. The betrayal had changed her life forever. However, she also acknowledged an unexpected truth. If Lucy had never sent her to meet Min, she might never have met the man who changed her future. Life had a strange way of turning pain into purpose. Before leaving, Rose thanked Lucy for one thing. Not for the suffering, not for the lies, but for unknowingly leading her toward her destiny. As she returned to her car, she took one final look at the restaurant. Years earlier, She had entered that place broken, afraid, and hopeless. Now she was leaving stronger than she had ever imagined possible. The road that began with poverty, heartbreak, and betrayal had eventually led her to healing, love, and success. And as she drove away into the Lagos evening, Rose realized something important. Sometimes, life does not take us where we plan to go. Sometimes it takes us where we were meant to be. And for the first time since leaving her village, Rose truly felt free. As Rose drove away from the restaurant, she felt a strange mixture of emotions. For years, she had imagined that moment. She had imagined confronting Lucy with anger. She had imagined demanding answers. She had imagined making her feel the same pain she once felt. Yet none of those things happened. Instead, she left with peace. Perhaps true victory was not revenge. Perhaps true victory was healing. That evening, Rose returned to her hotel and called Min. As soon as he answered, she smiled. "I saw Lucy today," she said. There was a brief silence. Then Min asked softly, "How do you feel?" Rose looked through the hotel window at the busy Lagos traffic below. "Free," she replied. Min smiled on the other end of the call. Then it was worth it. The following day, Rose traveled back to her village. Although she had visited several times over the years, every visit felt special. The village road that once seemed ordinary now carried countless memories. As her vehicle approached the family compound, children ran after the car excitedly. Word spread quickly. "Rose is back. Rose has returned." People came out of their houses to greet her. Some remembered the poor girl who once sold Akara by the roadside. Now she had become a source of inspiration throughout the community. Mama Grace rushed outside the moment she heard the news. "My daughter!" Rose stepped out of the vehicle and hugged her mother tightly. Mama Grace held her for a long time. Even after all these years, she still worried about her daughter whenever she traveled. Papa John appeared moments later with a smile that seemed permanent these days. "You didn't tell us you were coming today." Rose laughed. "I wanted it to be a surprise." Inside the house, everything looked different from the days of hardship. The old leaking roof was gone. The walls had been renovated. The compound was larger and cleaner. Years earlier, such improvements would have seemed impossible. That evening, the family gathered outside just like they used to. The difference was that this time there was laughter instead of worry. Daniel had become a successful engineer. Ada was completing her university education. Papa John no longer worked long hours under the hot sun. Mama Grace had retired from selling Akara. For the first time in their lives, the family could simply enjoy being together. As they talked, Ada suddenly smiled. "Do you remember the night I asked why Rose wasn't going to school?" Everyone laughed. Rose nodded. "I remember. I was just a child," Ada said. But that question made everybody sad. Papa John shook his head. "Those were difficult days." Mama Grace looked at Rose lovingly. "God brought us through them." Rose remained quiet for a moment. Then she spoke softly. "Not everyone gets the chance we got." The family looked at her curiously. "What do you mean?" Daniel asked. Rose took a deep breath. "I want to help other girls." The compound became silent. "I know what it feels like to have dreams and no opportunities." Tears gathered in Mama Grace's eyes. Rose continued, "There are many girls in villages just like ours. Girls who are intelligent. Girls who want an education. Girls who only need someone to believe in them." Papa John smiled proudly. "What do you want to do?" Rose looked toward the dark sky above. "I want to start a scholarship foundation." The idea excited everyone immediately. Within months, Rose began working on her plan. She partnered with schools, community leaders, and charitable organizations. Soon, dozens of young girls received scholarships. Many of them came from poor families. Some wanted to become doctors. Some wanted to become teachers. Others dreamed of becoming nurses, just as Rose once had. Each success story reminded her of her own journey. Years later, the foundation grew beyond anything she imagined. It helped students across different parts of Nigeria. People often invited Rose to speak at schools and conferences. Whenever she stood before a crowd, she shared the same message. Never allow your current situation to decide your future. Those words became her personal motto. One afternoon, after speaking at a school event, a young girl approached her. The girl looked nervous. "Ma," she said softly, "do you really believe poor people can succeed?" Rose smiled. The question reminded her of the girl she once was. She gently placed a hand on the student's shoulder. "I don't just believe it." The girl looked up. Rose smiled warmly. "I lived it." The young girl's eyes filled with hope. And as Rose watched her walk away, she realized that her story was no longer just about survival. It was about purpose. The pain she once wished to forget had become the very thing that allowed her to help others. And that, more than wealth, success, or luxury, became her greatest achievement. For every life she touched, another chapter of hope began. And so, the girl who once sold Akara by the roadside became a woman whose story inspired thousands. Not because her journey was easy, but because she refused to give up when life became difficult. And her story continued to live on in every dream she helped bring to life. Several years after establishing her scholarship foundation, Rose decides to open a large education center in her village. Her goal is simple. No child should lose their dream because of poverty. However, not everyone supports the project. Some influential people in the community feel threatened by her growing influence. Lucy unexpectedly appears at the village. She looks older, humbler, and completely different from the woman Rose once knew. She reveals that she closed the restaurant years ago and has been living quietly. The village is divided. Some people believe she deserves forgiveness. Others believe she deserves none. Lucy wants to volunteer at Rose's foundation. The staff strongly oppose it. Many of them know Lucy's past. Rose must decide whether people can truly change. Ada is now a university graduate. She meets a charming businessman named David. He is handsome, wealthy, and respectful. The family likes him immediately, but Rose senses something is not right. Rose quietly investigates David. She discovers that some of his business dealings are suspicious. Ada refuses to believe her sister. The disagreement creates tension within the family. Daniel invests a large amount of money in a business opportunity recommended by a friend. Everything looks promising at first. Then the investment collapses. He loses almost everything. For the first time in years, the family faces financial pressure again. When Daniel's situation becomes serious, Lucy unexpectedly helps. She uses her savings to support some of Rose's projects and protect jobs at the foundation. People begin seeing a different side of her. Her actions speak louder than apologies. The truth finally emerges. David is involved in fraud and has been deceiving Ada. When Ada confronts him, he disappears. Heartbroken, she realizes Rose was right. The sisters become closer than ever. After years of work, Rose's education center is completed. Hundreds of villagers gather for the grand opening. Children who once had no hope now have opportunities. Papa John and Mama Grace watch proudly as Rose fulfills the dream she once thought impossible. During the opening ceremony, Rose gives a speech. She tells the children that success is not measured by wealth alone. It is measured by how many lives you help along the way. As she looks at her family, her students, and the community around her, she realizes that her greatest achievement was never leaving poverty behind. It was returning to help others escape it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy the story, don't forget to leave us a comment. Also share and subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell to get notified when a new story comes up. Don't forget to tell us where you're watching from.